You're listening to the Punisher Waterfowls, the Union 0430 podcast.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Union 0430. This is episode 131. We're expecting Dave, but it's Dave, Dark Cloud. So God knows his router probably blew up and he's not able to hook up to the internet. But anyways, if he doesn't show up, you get the three of us beauties. As I said today on a post, we are a hockey sock full of beauties. So to our American listeners, you don't know what that is, but to the Canadian listeners, you know what beauties are, and you obviously know what a hockey sock is. So we got two of the boys joining us from Nova Scotia tonight. Bad weather down your way. I know it's colder than a witch's tit up here.
Yeah, it's not that cold here, but it's cold for here.
Yeah.
It's cold here. It's like,
yeah, go for it, Ryan.
yeah, it's cold here. It's like minus 22 right now, and
Yeah.
with the wind chill, it's supposed to hit minus 42, but my heat pump stopped working. We usually do around minus 22, so right on schedule they stopped. So,
Oh, really?
Ours
Yeah.
stopped working for another reason.
oh no, what was your reason?
Power.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, let's talk about this. Yeah,
Yeah, let's talk about that, because this is game changing right now. If you want to know, ladies and gentlemen, the commitment, because it's a prerequisite to be on this show, to be committed. And Mark Vitch is showing his commitment tonight by losing his power and plugging all of his electronics he needs into his truck. So please explain this to us, Mark.
And before I get into that, I'm going to add, I also plugged in all the electronics the wife needs so she can watch TV downstairs while I'm up here.
You're a gentleman and a scholar.
Right,
Well
right.
done.
doing a load of laundry.
So yeah, as soon as the power went out, I had to get scrambling. I threw on the jacket and toque and ran out to the truck, fired the truck up, turned on the generator that's built into the truck, and plugged in a couple of extension cords, ran them in under the door in the garage, and hooked up the router in the garage. And then I ran into the house. I plugged in the power bar for the TV in the home theater and the lamp in the TV room, ran one upstairs, plugged in the second router, another lamp, and I have a couple cords running in the kitchen in case we had power out for an extended period. We'll have coffee and tea and toast in the morning. And I got a couple other cords on standby for other things like fridges, and we got a propane heater and stuff too. So we're gonna survive through this one. But saying all that, we're only using about 310 watts of it.
And what's your truck good for? Like, what's it able to pump out power wise?
2400.
And you're only using 310. Wow.
You're scratching the surface.
Yeah. So suck it, all you Ford haters. Suck it.
And the truck will run 85 hours.
What's that?
Running that generator.
It'll run constant 85 hours.
85 hours straight before I got to fuel up again.
That's game changer, buddy.
Now, if you had the 7,200 watt generator, it'll run 35 hours, which is still, when they figured it out, they looked at the fuel efficiency of an actual generator that runs the same wattage and the one off the truck. The truck actually burns less fuel than the generator over that period.
So the 2400 watt will run for 80 hours. The 7200 will only run for 36 hours.
Yeah,
but it's a bigger strain on your generator too.
Yeah,
right?
if you're running a full,
Yeah.
if you're plugging your one of your pony panels for your house into your truck, then you're gonna draw a lot more power.
Yeah,
the engine's gonna run a lot more.
Ryan, here is just another example of how he just gotta outshine us no matter what, eh?
he's like he's like a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah,
that doesn't give a rat's arse.
No,
just wants to be that guy.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. And meanwhile, his neighbors are over there panicking and freaking out, and they're like, "Look at that feller over there! Look, with his
Oh yeah.
with his house plugged into his truck.
I've
I'm
seen
sure
no other
they're all-
houses lit up yet, so we're ahead of everyone.
I'm sure they were all like, "Oh, look at him! He's environment conscious with his hybrid." And they're like, "Is he idling that for the 12th hour in a row?"
As he's having his cup of tea in the morning and everybody's out freezing their nuts off.
Exactly.
For the record,
Yeah.
it might be a hybrid, but I think it's a hybrid more along the lines of extra power than extra fuel economy. Just
Yeah.
for the record.
Yeah. Yeah. You think, well, I believe you if you say it, because I don't know many people that dive into the weeds of shit like you do.
I don't know. Well, Nova Scotia Power just announced a 14% hike for over the next 2 years. So
I seen
might,
that actually.
I might buy that truck to power the house all year round at this point.
It's hard times we live in. But let's we've got some. Oh, buddy, I got to tell you this story, Ryan. So he jumps on earlier, and when waiting to come on the show. So he comes on, and I'm like, "What have you been up to?" Anyways, I've been talking to you, and he tells me he's volunteered now with this trail association down where he's at. So God love them. This trail association, they're trying to keep things open for people to walk in trails and mountain bikes and stuff like this. And the people that are volunteering, that are running it, well, they don't really have a whole ton of chainsaw experience. Yeah. So meanwhile, he's telling me as he's talking to the head dudes, right? He was like, oh yeah, I can take care of this and I can take care of that. And they're talking about a tree they had to hire somebody to come in and take down for them because they didn't have the gear or the experience to do it. And Mark's like, oh, I could have done that and save you a bunch of money and all this stuff, right? So as he's telling me this, I start thinking, and I said, that trail association is going to end up with a fucking golf course out of this, aren't they? Because if they don't give him some left and right of arcs, there's not going to be a tree left. It's just going to be a big cutover.
He's going to look like he works for Irving. He's just going to have a little friggin' hectagon.
I just figured they'll need a lot of flagging tape too. Make sure they.
Yeah. You better rope off exactly what you want done, or else you're going to be without a tree down on that. Yeah. It'll be a golf course, not a walking trail anymore.
No.
People walk on golf courses.
They do.
They also drink beer on golf courses.
They most certainly do.
I do.
I gotta tell you, so I got a message from a fella. His name is Steve Genter. So I got a message. So he's up, and I got to double check. He's in Montana. I think he said northwestern Montana. And anyways, he shot me a message, and he was like, "I love you guys," right? He was like, "You guys are awesome. I love listening to you and stuff." And it started off with, he said, "I love Bird Dog whiskey." He said, "And I hear you guys talk about it all the time, and how you say Americans think it's crap and it's only the Canadians that like it." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's what we keep hearing." He said, "That's those people don't matter." He said, "There's lots of people that love Bird Dog whiskey." So we were shooting the shit, and then he's like, "I gotta admit, I knew that we would get along good." He said, "Because I have a deep love for Sidney Crosby too." And I'm like, "Buddy, we're like kindred spirits here. We were meant to be."
Did you guys just become best friends over your man crush?
I think so.
Man.
All over a man crush of Sid.
Yeah.
So was that today?
Yeah. So early this morning was when I got the first message, and
Mark
then
down, Brian. The beginning of the bromance.
yeah,
It's true.
so
We're chopped liver now, Mark.
Hey man, I'm telling you, and from Montana, like I wouldn't think Montana would have been he's a huge Penguins fan. He was telling me. Anyways, he loves Sidney Crosby, and I'm like, fuck, that's awesome. Bird Dog fan and a Sid fan. Huh, can't do no better than that.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
Squirrel finds a nut.
Yeah. So anybody that's listening, you don't know how much it makes me smile to read these messages when people write in and say that they love the show and we have a chat like that. It's awesome. I really did enjoy it, and enjoyed chatting with him, and even better,
Is
that
he a
we have
Vikings
something in
fan?
common. I don't know if he's a Vikings fan. I
Ask
didn't
him.
ask him.
You gotta
could
get the
be.
trifecta
He
going.
could be. He could be. He's in
What?
Montana.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
between-
I don't know. Like that part of the states, it's like it's mostly Green Bay fans, like that
No,
part
but
of the
like-
states.
You don't know.
Yeah, you don't know. Well, you wouldn't have think
What's
that
what's more west, Minnesota or Green Bay? I can't
Minnesota.
think of it.
Minnesota's further
So it's
west.
like-
Indianapolis is further west than Green Bay.
Mm.
But it's south.
It's
So
south,
really,
too.
on that northern border, you have basically Minnesota and then Seattle, and he's in the middle. So
Yeah.
I apologize if my American geography sucks, but
Yeah.
I think
No,
I'm
that's-
right.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I guess so, because you wouldn't think somebody in northwestern Montana would be a Pittsburgh Penguins fan either. So,
Oh yeah, Minnesota is all west of Wisconsin.
Is it okay? Yeah.
so you never know.
Wisconsin.
Anyways, it's cool. So if anything, please send more messages, because I love reading that stuff. It's awesome. On to some serious stuff, Ryan. I know you're really you really pay a lot of attention to this, and I've got to admit I'm a little bit ignorant on all of what's going on. But good news in Canada today, the amendments. Now, we didn't get rid of the entire bill, Bill C-21, which is for our American friends that are listening. Well, either way, Ryan, you talk about it. I don't need to do the precursor.
Yeah. So basically, I'm not shmee on it really that much, but basically what they're doing is, what the current government is trying to do is basically put in a rifle ban, and basically it's literally as bad as you can go to bed one night and wake up the next morning and a firearm that you own could be banned. And they just, without warning, with no update whatsoever, add new firearms to the list. And there's no real rhyme or reason for any of it. There's single break action rifles on there. They recently tried to push, they did, any 5-round semi-automatic done, center fire done.
Mhm.
There was a lot of talk about rim fires being next for that. Basically, so what has happened is, because of the public outcry and the pushback, primarily from the Conservative Party too, they've essentially paused it at this time. Doesn't mean if they've gotten rid of it, doesn't mean it's going to go away. It's just on the shelf, so it doesn't apply right now. We've also lost handguns in this country.
Yeah.
You can own one, but only if you've already had one. So basically you're grandfathered in, and that's going to be a steep hill to climb to get that back. I mean, gun crime is sucks, but it's 99.9% of the time, it's never the people. In Canada, we have to have the licensing in order to acquire a firearm. It's never people who have licenses who
are committing the crimes.
who commit these crimes. It's not the law-abiding people; it's the criminals. And so it's us being paying the penalty for this is not going to make a difference whatsoever on gun crime in this country.
Here's a concept to add to all this. Do you think the criminals, think about the term, criminals, are going to follow the new laws?
No, of course not.
Maybe
What's
they
the
want to turn over
definition
to
of
the
a
league.
criminal?
One who doesn't follow law.
So
I gotta go get my charger. My laptop's gonna die.
yeah. So I know we're like, we tend to stay away from politics on the show and stuff like that. But for anybody that's listening, if you think for 1 second this whole gun thing wasn't about votes, then you're mistaken, because the only people that had an issue with the guns were the people that lived in the cities like Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal, really, right? Which is in Canada, that's our 3 big populations. And that's where a majority of our major crime happens. So those 3, and to preface that, in order to win to become the Prime Minister of Canada, if you win all the seats in Toronto and Montreal, you've probably won enough that you'll get to be the prime minister, because Canada is so big, with such a low population. All of our population is centered around the New York, Michigan border. That the majority of our, like, I think it's like 80% of our population is all right along the border of Michigan and New York. Yeah, a big chunk of it, man. So, and now the public outcry from rural Canada and the Indigenous people of Canada, the outcry of this ban. So, like Benelli, just to give you an example, like the entire Benelli catalog was pretty much banned. Like there was hardly anything that Benelli produced that wasn't on that amendment to be banned and not allowed to be bought in Canada, to give you an idea of how ridiculous this was. And Ryan was true when he was right when he said, like, you could go to bed one night, and that's how it happened here, 6 months ago or whenever it was. You wake up in the morning and then all of a sudden there was news. Yep, your gun has been banned, and they're talking about a buyback. They're coming to take your guns and all of this stuff. So it's pretty crazy, but the public outcry and everything that came from it, well, that caused the overturn today. So they've quashed the amendments, but like Ryan said, the bill C-21, so the handguns, you can't buy a handgun, you can't buy a 9mm, you can't buy nothing in Canada right now, handgun wise, unless the only people that have it now are people that have already had it. So just wild.
Which it's not going to do anything to reduce handgun crime.
Well, actually, there's a lot of science out there right now saying that crime is increased, especially in Toronto. The Toronto crime rate is going. I wish Philly was here. I know Philly don't talk too much about work on here, but but he sees it every day, right?
Yeah.
It's even all the police forces agree. It's imported illegal weapons that are the problem. It's not
absolutely
legal gun owners.
No,
almost every single one across the country agrees.
Yep. Yeah.
That's it.
We should have actually, you know what we should have done tonight? We should have got Kazera on tonight.
You got to be able to understand the guests, though.
Yeah. You got to turn the banjos down low enough so you can hear them.
Oh man, yeah.
They don't get it. They don't get internet up on the mountain. So
no, he's got Elon. He's got Elon Musk.
Oh, does he?
Internet. Oh yes.
Oh yeah.
Hey, he's got better internet than all of us.
Yeah. Well, I got. Yeah.
Oh,
him.
yeah.
So me and Kazera are Starlink buds. It's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just in case anybody was wondering, I'm a big fan of Elon Musk too. So if there's any liberals on here, you're probably not a fan of this show anymore. But I think the guy's a genius personally. Let's just try to ruffle as many feathers as we can tonight.
I hear he shoots spoonies too. So
well, I'm pretty sure the people that listen to us have the same are on the same brainwave as what we are. So
yeah, right.
I'm not that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure of it. But yeah, anyways, so no guests tonight. I thought it was a good time for us to get some stuff to talk about, the gun ban, and then tell some stories about Mark clear cutting a nature area, have a few laughs and stuff. And I'm away next week. No, not next week, the week after. So Dave is running things. So good luck with that.
Dave's gonna be rusty as hell.
It's been a while. He's been busy, but he's slowing down, man. Like he's starting to see.
Fuck it.
Well, yeah, he's starting to see like just how busy he is, and it's starting to show up now. So he's starting to slow things down a little bit. But we've got the Toronto Sportsman Show coming up in March, right? And now that's starting, like crunch time is soon coming on that. So he's starting to say, shit, I better clear my plate because we've got a lot of stuff to do to get ready for that. Right. So, so he's getting that. He's getting all ready for that. And Phil's working tonight, so he couldn't make it. Poor fucker. Like, I know Phil's not walking a beat, but he's still out. Like, he's not sitting in the office on a Friday night in Toronto. You can be sure of that. He's out and about. So, it's chilly, man. It is cold, as Dad would say. It's cold enough to freeze the nuts off a tractor.
Yeah. You got stove going?
Yeah, I got stove going, but like that stove goes through pellets like you wouldn't believe. So I got it set to 16 degrees.
Yeah.
And that's what I keep it at, because if I try to go any higher, like it's ridiculous to try.
And what's your idea that it's going through? Like how many bags you go through every day or two?
So if I leave it as it is right now, then I'm on 2 bags a day.
What are they? $6 each?
Yeah, roundabout.
So $12 a day.
Yeah.
That's not terrible. But it's
how much gas would my hybrid burn?
No, I agree. It's not
trying to beat you, Damien.
Yeah, it's not terrible, but when you're already heating a house, the extra cost to heat up a man cave, because ultimately that's all this is.
Well, it's still $360 a month. It's not.
Yeah. So, but like the last couple nights I've kept it going all night long, right? Just because it's been so cold, and it gets so cold in the garage. Because like if I come down here tomorrow morning and had to light that stove, get that stove going and get it up to 16 degrees, then I'm going through 4 bags of pellets. Do you know what I mean? Because it takes, like, she just like on cremate trying to get it up to 16 degrees, right? And then when she gets down to 16, she'll level off, but she'll go through a lot of wood pellets before it gets up to 16 degrees. So I'll probably keep it going now for the next, probably never let it die out for the next couple of weeks, probably now.
Do you remember how much insulation is in your attic?
A lot. Yeah. No, not that. It's, I don't know. It's probably 6 inches above the trusses.
You can go more.
Yeah.
That'll help. Double it.
Yeah. But anyways. And I got 2 garage doors here too, right? So if I insulated those, that would make a big difference.
Oh, they're not insulated.
Well, they are, but you know what I mean? Like, you can buy those kits that goes over your garage doors. Mm-hmm. So if I bought them, that would make a big difference too. But either way, we're not talking about ducks here. So
we're trying to keep you warm.
Yeah. Well, I'll survive.
This is like an episode of Seinfeld, a show about nothing.
Yeah, a show about nothing. I got enough warm kit. That was something, you know what? I was talking to my mom about this the other day. And growing up in Newfoundland, when I worked in the woods, and like I was working in the woods, but even when I was driving around in the wintertime back home in Newfoundland, it didn't matter what time of the day it was or whatever, but I always had warm clothes in the back of my pickup truck. Like, there was always a heavy. So if I was going to the bar, let's say, and I was dressed to go to the bar, in the back of my truck was warm clothes, like a warm jacket, warm pair of boots, mitts, all that stuff, right? And I learned that from my dad, because my dad was on the road a lot when he was traveling to and from work, and a couple times getting stranded in a snowstorm and stuff like that, right? And I got to thinking, after seeing my kids leave the house one morning to go to school, and I'm like, what happens if the bus breaks down on your way to school? You two are going to fucking freeze to death. That's what's going to happen. It'll be like Lord of the Flies on this Jesus school bus outside of the city. A kid's fucking beating one another up to steal one another's clothes because they'd freeze to death. But do you guys, and I do it now, right? Like, there's always a heavy jacket. I don't have everything, but I always have a heavy jacket in the truck. Do you guys travel around with that stuff, like just in case? Never, eh?
Not on purpose. Usually
I'll
I
have,
have a
like-
pile of clothes and gear in the truck from either cutting wood or hunting or something. So
I'll have
Yeah.
like make sure I have like a glove and two in case I have to like get out for an extent. Like I change a tire or something. That's about it though.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about
I
it.
used
man.
to always have all that stuff in the truck. Like I always had. I remember coming home from New Brunswick, driving home from New Brunswick one time, driving back to the Ottawa Valley, and I lost a drive shaft on my pickup, like between Montreal and Ottawa. And it was like 2:00 in the morning. I was like, oh, what am I going to do? I was like, oh, well, I had my rucksack because I was on an army course. So I had my rucksack, my sleeping bag, everything all in the truck. I was like, I'm good. No panic whatsoever. Like I had nothing to worry about. I wasn't going to freeze it. I had all my gear. And I remember talking, I called Trish and I said, well, I won't be home tonight because I just lost a drive shaft in the truck on the highway. She was like, what are you going to do? I was like, well, I'll just sleep here in the truck. It's not a big deal. I'm not going to freeze it. I got
Nope.
I got like an Arctic sleeping bag for frig's sake and all my army kit.
Those are
I could
tough,
stay.
dude.
I could stay here for a month for frig's sake, as long as I had something to eat. That's all I needed. Anyways, another little tangent, as we like to call them.
A fun fact.
A fun fact. The more you know.
Yeah.
Here's a funny one for you. Do you guys remember? I know you're no longer living in Ontario, but there was a guide. He was from Quebec, but he did a lot of stuff in Ontario. I forget his name now.
wasn't the dude that shot the animals at Park Omega.
Yeah, that's him. That's him. So did you hear about this, Ryan?
No, I think so. But backgrounded for our listeners and viewers.
So this dude, he's a guide for goose hunting in Quebec and Ontario. I've never met the guy. I don't know him or anything like that. I see online the banter between him and a lot of people here in Ontario. He doesn't have a good name for himself. Screwed over a lot of people, the whole thing. Anyways, probably around October, I would think, Merc, he gets busted in a provincial park where he shoots an elk and 2 boars, I think it is. And like, this is a provincial park, and apparently the elk are so tame there that at the entrance of the park, you can buy bags of carrots so you can feed the elk, like out of your car, right? Like you just drive up, hold a carrot out, and the elk will come to the road and eat the carrots out of your hand,
must
right?
have been a tough stock.
Yeah. So anyways, this guy gets busted for shooting the elk in the park, and I guess he shot two wild boars too. Gets caught, and he's in a minivan, so he's stuffing this elk, which I've never seen an elk, but I'm surprised that you could fit one in a minivan. So anyways, so he gets caught, gets fined on probation, not allowed to carry a firearm, not allowed to hunt or anything. The funny thing is that he had a post a couple weeks ago saying that, hey guys, and I know you guys all heard, but I'm in some trouble and I got to pay a lot of money to some lawyers. So if you're still trying to get your deer, I've got a couple properties that I'm not using right now. And if you want them, they're yours. $700. And I'm just like, this guy's relentless. Like, he just don't care. And it's not his properties. This is property like somebody else owns. He's just got permission to hunt on it, right? So he's selling his permission to hunt on somebody else's land. Like,
Probably doesn't have permission to sell it either.
oh no, of course.
Doesn't.
I'm
He's
sure
going
he
down
doesn't.
swinging.
So this is what we're dealing with here, ladies and gentlemen. If you're wondering, if you're wondering where we are, and what kind of screwed up place we are, this is some of the shit that we deal with here. What are you saying, Murph?
So this is public information because it's in the news. So I'm gonna, for our American listeners who definitely haven't heard about this, I'm gonna share some of it with them about the story, so you get the real background of what went on.
Okay.
So this is from theguardian.com. 2 Canadian men have been charged with entering a safari park in Quebec and shooting 3 wild boar and an elk.
That's right. It's not a provincial park.
Yeah.
What is it?
Safari
It's
park.
a safari park.
What's the difference? What's a
So
safari?
they take, and they have wildlife that are not
Native
native to that
okay.
province. Like there's no elk in
So
Quebec.
it's like a zoo.
There's no wild boar in Quebec.
It's
Yeah,
like a
like a
zoo,
zoo.
just no cages.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Open
okay.
ground zoo. Yeah.
Yeah. So the brazen killings that have left staff and the family-themed park in shock. Police say Matthew Goddard
That's
and
his name.
Jeremiah Matthias Polson broke through a barrier at Park Omega on the evening of 10 November. A security guard on duty at the time noticed a vehicle had illegally entered the park and alerted police. Moments later, he heard gunshots. The police quickly arrived and located and intercepted the vehicle. Both men were arrested. Police found 4 animal carcasses inside the vehicle. Quebec Provincial Police spokesperson Marc Tessier told the Canadian press. Police also seized firearms within the vehicle. The pair faced charges including willfully killing animals kept for a lawful purpose, breaking and entering, illegally transporting firearms, and unlawfully firing a firearm during a break and enter. There is something else to be added to that, because I did read the court proceedings.
Yeah.
And there was discussion about the amount of drugs that were used before this happened.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes.
Oh, this
Their
just
rate
keeps getting better.
zipped up, were they?
Yeah. They put all necessary efforts in place to ensure the situation does not happen again.
So take back our comment where we said it's not hunters that are doing the crimes. We've got some fucking special people up here too. Like,
but think about it. These guys, even before this happened, were criminals. They've done stuff.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Right?
Yeah, like this guy.
Wake up one morning.
How does that conversation? How do you start that conversation? Like, I'm sure over a fair amount of dope, I would think, dope and liquor, and hey, you know what would be cool?
So Goddard was released on bail on Monday and is barred from visiting the park. No shit. He is also prohibited from communicating with the other guy and from carrying a gun. He's also not allowed to consume drugs or alcohol.
Oh boy.
Man, if I couldn't hunt or drink beer, that'd be a tough spot for me. I tell you.
Yeah.
That guy had to do some serious shit, and that would have changed my life, maybe for the better, but I don't know. It would have saved a lot of money.
Yeah. I know people that are listening to this, especially, and I haven't told you guys this, but we've got a strong listening in Brazil for some reason. So for the people that don't know,
Obrigado.
we're pretty, we take our beer drinking pretty serious here. And judges don't tend to take beer away from Canadians unless you do a pretty bad thing. So I'll give you an idea of just how screwed up this guy is that they've taken beer away from him. Not only is he not allowed to hunt, but he's not allowed to drink beer either. So
even light beer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to get a little jab in at our American friends, that's regular beer for you guys. Our beer is stronger.
Yeah, he said it
is.
I said it. There it is.
Yeah.
Them fighting words. Yeah.
There goes our demographic from the US, just like that.
No, not at all. They love it.
Oh yeah, they love it. Yeah. Yeah. Are you chirp for free healthcare next? Is that your next angle?
No, not at all. I'm not going down that rabbit hole.
Which is a facade, by the way. Because our healthcare may be free, but it sucks.
Well,
sorry,
let's not go down that rabbit hole.
Where I am, it does. But
no, you're absolutely right. It do suck, and it's a false narrative that's pushed out, because by no means is it free.
Did you check out that wind chill out there tonight?
Good job, Merc. Good job, buddy.
Why do I get misdirected? You guys talk about trucks and other random shit. I'm just saying, our healthcare isn't what it's cracked up to be. That's it. Enough said.
Enough said, he
God.
says. Boys, I know, we're just finishing up the season, and I know, you guys have been busy and the whole bit, but is there anything, are you starting to formulate a plan for next year? Is there anything that you're trying to achieve in this off season to prepare yourself for next season? Like, is there any big things coming up for you next year in the off season? I know it's a little bit, not a little bit, it's a lot early to start talking about that stuff. But do you have any grandiose plans of things you want to get done next year for the season? Sorry.
I want to get back out west and guide this year, permitting. My personal life has been a bit of a rat's nest for the last year and a half, but that's kind of in the rearview mirror now. So so should have some free time to do that this year.
That's awesome, dude.
So hopefully looking forward to getting that done. I love it and I've missed it, so I just want to get back into doing that. And maybe host some people from Ontario who might swing through and come for a late season hunt. Be a nice cherry on top through the year too.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah, I gotta actually get out and hunt this year. Unlike last fall, I barely got out. It was like number 3 or 4 on the radar for the fall.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, you guys had other priorities, right? There was other things that came up.
Yeah, there's lots going on.
There's lots going on
that didn't involve hunting.
Yeah. But it'll be cool though, Ryan, if we can pull this off. I spoke to Bobby Hayes today, and I was like, hey, listen, just so you know, me and the boys are planning a trip, and we're planning on swinging through Kansas. So we'd love to come hang out for a couple of days. I said, no pressure. You don't have to hang out with us if you don't want to, but just wanted to let you know. And he's like, I'm sure we can figure something out. So there's Kansas. We got
Kansas.
Yeah, we got Saskatchewan squared away. Maybe my new kindred spirit in Northwest Montana. Maybe we'll stop and say hi to him too. Watch a Penguins game. And maybe
as long as he doesn't live in
Shelby, Montana. There's a joke there. I know it.
So it's an old story.
Okay. I'm gonna.
The first time I ever crossed the border from Alberta into Montana, because me and my ex at the time, we just went down for a drive just to go down.
Was this old Mark Vitch, or reformed Mark Vitch?
Oh
no, this was pre-2003.
So, this is going off the rails.
No, it wasn't that.
This is when he had a long greasy mullet and a T-top T-bird.
Actually, there was no alcohol involved in the situation. So anyway, crossed the border, went for a drive into Montana, drove around for a bit. It looks oddly like southern Alberta, for the record.
I would think. The imaginary line that separates Canada and the US don't do much for the topography.
Yeah. So anyway, we drove around a bit, stopped in Shelby, went in and got some KFC, got stink-eyed out of there by the locals. I don't know why.
You started it. And probably talking about stuff.
Anyway, left the KFC, got some gas, drove back
towards
Alberta.
What'd you do today? Drove down Montana, had some KFC.
Kentucky Ducky.
Oh god.
And pulled up to the border again, and we were talking to the guy at the border crossing. He's like, what are you guys doing? I'm like, oh, we just went for a drive in Montana. I hadn't been down there before, so I wanted to see what it was like. He's like, yeah, where'd you go? I said Shelby. He kind of looked at me with a blank stare. He's like, Shelby? You went to Montana and the only place you went was Shelby?
There you go.
Yeah, I know. I said it wasn't anything special. Here we are.
Yeah. But
he laughed, sent us on our way.
You achieved your goal. You wanted to go to Montana and you went to Montana. You got some KFC and come on home out of it. Perfect.
Yeah, KFC. It's just like the KFC in Alberta.
I would think so.
Well, I'm glad you cleared that up for us. Now I can sleep soundly tonight.
That's right. Well, I've always wondered if, again, that imaginary line that separates Canada and the US.
Oh, and of course, there was no speed limits on the interstates down in Montana. I don't know if they brought them back since, but there was no speed limits. The signs were there, but you didn't have to. You could drive whatever speed you wanted. But I was in a pickup truck, so I wasn't going to be doing 165 down the highway in the truck with a 5.7 liter and burn every bit of gas I had just to go down the highway with no speed limit. So it was kind of pointless. If I had to have a car at the time, it would have been different.
I'm sure there was a speed limit.
Oh, it was posted speed limit, but you didn't have to follow them.
I don't understand. If there's a posted speed limit, why wouldn't you have to follow it?
That's just like suggested speed.
Oh,
No, yeah.
They did throw out the speed limits on the interstate down there at the time. That was pre 2003, like I said. I was like,
I remember I was in Missouri.
99.
I was in Missouri in when was that? Like 2015, I think. And was down there in Fort Leonard Wood, and I was on an Army course. So they took us around, and they were, introducing us to the town and all this. So they ended up taking us down and introducing us to like the legal system and how the legal system worked down there and all this stuff, right? It was a bunch of international students, really, right? So anyways, we're down there and we're in the court, and we're talking to one of the judges, and the judge is there, and she's saying, like majority of the stuff she sees is like speeding and like petty crime and stuff like that, nothing serious. And she said to me, she was like, what's your speed limit up in Canada? I was like, well, 100 on the highways, 110, depending, right? And she just about lost her mind. I was like, oh, wait. And it took me a second before I was like, hold on, that's in kilometers an hour. That's not miles per hour. And she was like, oh, okay. I'm like, so, in miles per hour, what's that? Like 60, 65?
About 65, yeah.
Yeah, around 65 miles per hour. But anyways, it was funny because she was like, holy smokes, you drive that fast up in Canada? I was like, oh, wait a second. I think
imagine tip to tip in 14 hours.
Well, I was talking to Jeff Coates today, and we were talking about the temperature and stuff like that. And I said, man, it's freaking cold up here. It's like minus 25, and like minus 35 with the wind chill and stuff like that. And he was like, oh man, he's like, I can't do the conversion. I was like, well, our temperature without the wind chill is minus 20. And he's like, okay. He said, what's that in Fahrenheit? So I had to Google it, and it come out -3. I was like, oh, that don't sound cold at all. -3 in Fahrenheit. But that's cool. Fucking -20 is cold. So I'm guessing, the states like Montana and Idaho and Minnesota, Wisconsin, like they would all see those temperatures, right? Like the -25.
Yeah, especially the northern half of those states.
Yeah, whatever ones border Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, right?
North
like
Dakota.
They would see those temperatures. And probably I would hazard to say like North Dakota and those places, they would see it colder than what we get it here in Southern Ontario, I would think.
Where you are, yes.
Yeah, where I am, right? Because like they would be very similar to that, like that -40 that Alberta sees, right?
At times, probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But do they get the Chinooks?
Montana does.
Yeah.
That's along the mountains. That's not.
That's no. That's being on the eastern side of the Rockies, right?
Yeah.
That's what causes that. But anyways, so if you don't come here for duck hunting information, you can come for geography lessons and social studies.
Mm-hmm.
It's true.
And meteorology. The gross domestic product of Montana is beef. I don't know. I would assume
Probably
it's
is.
beef. I would assume it's beef.
That or Black Rifle Coffee, one or the other.
Stuff is good.
It is good.
Wow.
So the speed limit in Montana, for reference, posted one is 80 miles an hour.
Oh shit.
Which is 130 clicks.
I don't think I'd be comfortable doing 130 kilometers an hour. Actually, no. What am I saying? 130. Yeah, that's not that
kilometers an hour.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what you
No.
probably pass people at most times.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Yeah.
I don't drive 130 often in the truck because you can watch your gas hand drop, but you know, 130, that's impressive. They're talking about raising the 401 to 110.
I thought it already was.
No. Well,
that's what I thought too. It was like, man, I've always driven it. But
well, I
everybody drives
drive
at like 125. If you drive 115, if you drive 115 on 401, you're getting passed all day long.
Oh, yeah, buddy, I set my cruise control when I'm on the highway here at like 110, 112. That's what I set my cruise control at. And I'm the slowest vehicle on the road for the most part. Like people are just blowing past me.
Yeah, that's fine. But the 400 outside of Ottawa is 110.
Is it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Where it's 4-lane between Ottawa and Iron Park.
Yeah. Like once you get around the bend past Canadian Tire Center, like Canada.
Yeah.
She opens up. Yep.
It's still 100 here.
Yeah, but they don't trust you guys. See?
No.
Upper Canadians.
Damn city people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's us.
I
have no idea how long we've been on talking, fellas. So
we're at about 50 minutes.
Oh, really?
We're doing all right, but we're talking about absolutely.
Haven't mentioned a duck yet.
Haven't talked about a duck yet.
You're gonna have to get some curls in his hat.
Yeah, you're gonna have to title this episode something like give people a warning. There's no waterfowl talk.
Yeah, absolutely no talk of waterfowl whatsoever. I will tell you this though. I'm trying to learn how to carve decoys. Which I knew was going to be difficult. Because I do not have an artistic bone in my body. But now, so I've sat down with this guy twice now, and he's sort of kind of talking me through it. Once you know the procedure, because there's a step-by-step to doing it, right? So I think anybody can learn it. I think that the real trick is the paint. Is what I'm getting after talking to people. Like you can carve a decoy to make it look like a mallard or a teal or whatever. The trick, I think, the hardest thing is to make the colors the right way and making a blend, because obviously you guys know if you look at a duck, there's no sharp divide from color to color, right? It all always blends, and there's always that, you know, like you look at like a buffle head or something like that with those iridescent colors that's on its head. Like try to replicate that. Like that
I think paint can hide a lot of the like carving imperfections.
Yeah, like
absolutely. You could take like a perfectly symmetrical carved decoy.
Yeah.
But if you don't paint it right, it's just not going to look great. But if you take it like an average decoy and give it to like, you know, I don't know, professional painter.
Yeah.
They're going to make that look like, you know,
but
a Dave Smith decoy or something.
So there's a couple older gentlemen that hang out at this place where I'm sort of kind of learning. They don't really do a lot of ducks. They do a lot of birds, right? So like cardinals and blue jays and like songbirds and stuff like that. That's what they're into carving. And one of them was talking to him the other day, and he was pretty excited because he was going to buy a new compressor. I said, compressor? I said, what do you want a compressor for? And he's like, for my airbrush. I was like, your airbrush? He said, I can't blend paint colors. He said, so I just use an airbrush. He said, and it makes painting that much more easier. And I was like, huh. And then I got to wondering, I was like, well, I wonder, are you allowed to use airbrush for painting your decoys for like competitions? And apparently, yeah, you can, which I would think would be a game changer. If you're any bit artistic and you can use an airbrush to do what I think the term is smoothies is what they call like competition decoys, like for the World Carving Championships and stuff like that. I think they call them smoothies. But if you could use an airbrush as opposed to a paintbrush, buddy, that'd be game changer.
I think it'd be like two separate categories.
You would think so, but
Yeah.
maybe everybody just uses airbrush. Anyways, anybody that's listening to this, if you're still listening to this and you have any knowledge in this, please shoot us a message and let us know.
We should like title this episode "Don't Listen to This Episode."
Oh, it's a
Like-
good episode.
Did you ever hear like the story? Elon Musk was on Joe Rogan's podcast and he's talking about like they made flamethrowers, and they made like I don't know like a whole like 200,000 of these things. He's like, it's a dumb idea. Don't buy them, please. Don't buy these. They're stupid. They're not safe. You'll hurt yourself. And then Joe Rogan's like, so what happened is like we sold out in 3 hours.
Yeah,
He's like-
worst thing you could tell a bunch of people: don't buy this.
Yeah, he's like he publicly stood up. He's like, please don't buy them. They're not safe. He's like, we sold them in 3 hours. Like 200,000 units gone.
I believe it.
I just got our power back.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I
Did you
plugged
go
into
turn the
wall.
truck? Did you go turn the truck off?
No, because the internet is plugged into the truck right now. So
Yeah.
I
Gas is
told
cheap
Josette, don't
anyways.
mess with the internet.
Fair. Good point.
Mm.
Well, boys, it's been a great show. I think it's a great show, despite and it's ended a season, so like there's really not a lot of duck hunting we can talk about. So
Well,
Wow.
if we had to make a point of it, we could have, but
Yeah.
we don't give a shit.
I think it was a great episode. You know, we learned about some geography. We learned about some idiot asshats in Quebec that shot a deer in a fucking zoo, for
An
lack of a
elk,
better. Yeah. You know, it's been a lot of education passed down on this episode. We talked about my kindred spirit, my buddy in Northwest Montana. I'm telling you. And it's NHL All-Star and it's All-Star Skills tonight too. So
I
maybe
hate the All-Star.
I
game
know.
now.
It,
It's so brutal.
it's always been brutal. The only time I
No.
really enjoyed it was when I was a kid. Because when I was a
Me
kid,
too.
it was cool.
Yeah, the events are cool. Guys weren't dressing up, and I don't know. And they competed too. Like they
Yeah.
actually tried to win. They weren't. I don't know.
I
I don't like
seen
it. I don't watch it.
I seen something the other day. And for our Missouri listeners, so there was something the other day. I watched a thing, and it was like an alumni for the St. Louis Blues, and Al McInnes showed up, and he took a clapper with his wooden stick, and it was still faster than most fellas. Oh, good thing you didn't turn off the truck, Mark.
That's right.
Yeah.
So Al McInnes' shot is still harder than most fellas, and Al McInnes has got to be in his 50s now,
Oh yeah.
and his clapper is still harder than fellas, and they're using these composite sticks, and he's still probably using a 50-30 Sherwood.
50-30 Sherwood. I thought you were gonna say a Christian fiberglass, but you went 50-30 Sherwood. I like it.
50-30 Sherwood with a Paul Coffey curve, buddy.
Mm,
Damien was listening to 91 today.
yeah,
What?
probably.
You were listening to 91 today, weren't you?
No. Why were they talking about that on 91?
Yeah.
So I seen it on TV. So or maybe it was an ad on Facebook or on Instagram or something, like one of those short videos. I watched it anyways because he stepped up and took the shot, and I was like, holy crap, fucking McInnes can still do it. It's
Still
awesome.
on my puck. Yeah.
That's insane though. But anyways, I will go check out because I always do like the hardest slap shot. I'll go check that out, see who won it. Chara is no longer in there. Weber is no longer in there.
No.
So I don't know who it is. I would
I don't
think
even-
off the top of
Ovi.
my head, I would say Ovi, probably.
Yeah, there's a few guys still got pretty hard shots. I mean,
Oh yeah, for
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
I would think Ovi. But here, okay, so let's talk about this. So all of this stuff now about Ovi and the fact that he's getting to, like, he's going to break Gretzky's record, right? Like it's inevitable. It's going to happen.
if something catastrophic doesn't happen,
That's right. Like barring he gets brutally injured and his career's cut short. But if he stays healthy, he's gonna pass him, right? And
He's got to play a few more years.
Well, I think he's got 3 more years before he breaks it, right? Something like that.
Yeah, 3 or 4, yeah.
But so again, showing my loyalty to Sid, and this is the argument that I hear is that Ovechkin's better than Sidney and stuff like this. And I said, yeah, for goal scoring, 100%, he's a better goal scorer. But Ovechkin does nothing else on the ice but score goals. That's it. He's not a defensive player.
Oh no, he's top 5 in hits.
Right, but
yeah.
But when he's on the ice, he's right at that left face-off circle. Just stands there and just waits for the puck to get past to him for a one-timer, and that's it, right? And I'm like
yeah.
He's 82 goals away. And there's still 30 games left in this season.
82 goals away from tying it or breaking it?
From tying it.
From tying it. 82 goals. So he could probably do it in 3 years. 2.5. So the rest of this year and 2 more seasons.
Well, let's say he gets 10 more goals this season.
Yeah.
And he's 72 goals away. It's not likely, but possible that he could do it in 2 more seasons.
Yeah, he could. How many?
Provided he's still got somebody
to play for 17, I think.
Gretzky's rookie year was 79.
No. How many seasons did Gretzky play?
Only the ones count with the NHL. So.
Okay, so he came into the league in 81, right? And he retired in 99.
Was it 99? Of course he did.
Yeah.
Of course he retired in 99. That's easy to remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember watching his last game. I remember as if it was yesterday, actually.
I saw a quote on social media once. He's like, why did you hang up? He's like, I scored 9 goals in my final year.
Yeah.
He was like, that's why I hung it up.
Yeah. I seen that. He was like, somebody said, you're still doing good, and he was like, I had 9 goals this season. In the 80s, that was a good weekend.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the backside of that quote. He's like, that was a good weekend.
Yeah, that was a good weekend. 9 goals in a weekend.
Yeah. Well, I haven't looked at it, and I think Mark's looking up like Hockey DB right now, but I'm curious to see like if Ovechkin breaks it, say like, I don't know, in 2 seasons. No, what year did he come in? He came in 04 or 05 was his rookie. I think 05 was his rookie year.
05. Crosby
05,
was
06.
Crosby was 06, yeah.
Was he 06? Yeah.
Yeah, because 05 was the lockout year.
Right.
So I mean, like, anyways, going back to your point though, Damien, I think Crosby is like a better all-around hockey player, but I think 100% like just one of the best goal scorers of all time. I don't think he is the best. I know. And I will take this. I still think Mario Lemieux is the best goal scorer of all time. I'm not
best goal scorer? Best goal scorer or best points?
Best goal scorer. No, Gretzky's greatest point player of all time.
But I think if Lemieux stayed healthy, I think Lemieux would have beat Gretzky's points.
I think he would have. I don't know if he would have beat his points, but he would have beaten his goals.
You think?
He missed a lot. Yeah, he missed a lot of hockey in the prime of his career. And you brought up Ovechkin. Ovechkin isn't like, he's just not a one-timer guy only. He's got more depth to his goal scoring prowess. But Mario Lemieux could score goals 10. He could score 10 goals in a game 10 different ways if you wanted. But that's just my opinion. But
yeah, well, if I was, and for people that never got a chance to watch him play. And I did, and I wasn't a big fan of him, but he could fucking score goals, and that was Brett Hull. Brett Hull could score goals, dude.
Yep.
He was insanely good. But anyways, that's your hockey.
We should have just talked hockey the whole time.
But yeah, we could have. We could have just talked hockey.
We should have.
But then you know what have you seen these chirps that Brad Marchand's been doing?
With Steve Dangle? Like Steve Dangle is like, I do not like the Toronto Maple Leafs, but I love Steve Dangle because he's like the most unbiased, true. He is a hockey fan who loves the Maple Leafs, which I have a lot of respect for. So like classic Brad Marchand, just like
Yeah,
being a grease ball.
but the
Like-
one that there was this dude. So I forget how it goes, but anyways, there was this dude that chimed in on Marchand saying something to a reporter. I guess Marchand replied to some reporter's tweet or something, right? And then this dude chimes in on it, and Marchand's response is like, "I hope you know that stash isn't covering the lip herp that you got there, buds." And I was just like, "Oh boy, that's a bad burn right there. That's a bad burn." Anyways, I think Marchand is the type of player that everybody wishes they had on their team.
Oh,
And you hate playing against him. Sort of like Gallagher with Montreal, but he's at it.
I think Marchand's hated more.
Oh, 100%. He's hated way more.
Yeah.
But now, so let's talk this then, and we'll soon finish this up because we're almost at that hour. But like McJesus right now, like if he keeps going, dude, if he can stay healthy, like the fact that Ovechkin has stayed healthy for as long as he has, because he hasn't missed any real significant games. But if McJesus keeps going the way he's going, like, fuck, man, he's got to start shattering some records. He's on 41 goals already.
It's insane.
Like, it's insane. Like,
Yeah.
Austin Matthews won the Rocket last year, and he had a great year. But, like, Matthews not even close to what McDavid is doing this year. Like, McDavid is just on a totally different level right now. Totally different.
Just imagine if he was on a better hockey team.
Oh, boy.
On a team that could play defense.
Yeah, man.
A team that had, even if they couldn't play defense, but if they had a goalie.
I'm shocked Jack Campbell turned into that. I did not see that coming.
Well, I think not that the Leafs had a great defense, but the Leafs defense was better than what Edmonton's defense is. And that's definite. Right.
Their team defense.
Yeah.
Was better.
Yeah. So that sort of helped Jack when he was in Toronto, and Edmonton just don't have the, like Darnell. Who was it said that to Darnell Nurse that time there about a month ago? He's like $11 million a year. You make $11 million a year. Give me a break. You're junk out there.
He's so average.
Oh, he's so average.
Yeah, he's not an $11 million player.
He's making Cale Makar money, to put that in perspective.
Yeah. Cale Makar is on a totally different level. Totally different level. I'm guessing we've lost a lot of listeners by this point. Anyways, boys, we'll end her right there, and we'll spend the next couple days trying to figure out a good name for this episode. Go around the table to you first, Ryan. I got nothing to say, he says.
What do you say after? What do you say after? Yeah, good meeting. Nice meeting you guys. What do you say after a riveting episode like this, such as this? So such in-depth waterfowl conversation. I feel like we brought a lot of education on that front.
Yeah.
On migration, ammo. When not to use certain calls.
Yeah.
I hope people made it to this point in the episode. I think we've provided a lot of common knowledge, beneficial to take into the field to put waterfowl on your plate, and I'm happy to share it with all of you.
There you go, Mark.
Yeah. So I learned
Mark has power.
Mark has power.
And Mark has power.
No, we lost power.
Oh, okay.
We lost it again. Yep. No power. But I did learn that don't mix alcohol, cocaine, and safari parks.
Yeah, no fucking no.
We can take that lesson from tonight for those that were considering mixing those things.
Yeah, I picture. I was going to ask, like, how does that conversation start? And all I can picture is Bill Burr's voice in my head going,
"Oh my God, that's awesome. Want
to have some fun tonight? Why don't we head down to Omega Park and shoot an elk. I just got Bill Burr's voice in my head
Yeah.
doing that monologue, and I'm like, this Bill Burr needs to do.
You know what would be fucking cool if we shot an elk in Quebec and
Yeah.
then sprinkle some wild boars on top. Yeah.
Well, let's just think about that. You got any more Coke? Let's do another line of Coke, and then let's just discuss this a little bit more. Anyways, awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, we are who we say we are. Just a bunch of dudes that just love sitting around and chatting, loving one another's company. This is the Union 0430. Please, I do love it. I love getting your messages when you tell us how you like it. And if you didn't like this show, feel free to message me and tell me that you didn't like it. It's probably not going to do anything, but at least you get to voice your opinion. Big love. Until next time.